Welcome to the 1 Million Years of Joy podcast. I'm Dr. Andrea Benaker, your host, and my intention is to inspire you to find more joy in your life through the stories from our guests and the science on joy and purpose. Ammar, welcome. I'm so happy to speak with you today.
Same here. Always a pleasure talking to you. It's always we have interesting conversation every time we get together.
Indeed. And I have to say, Ammar, as you know, I discovered your work after my 9-hour brain operation. And I was so inspired by your book, Purposehood. It really served as a guiding star for me in order to find my purpose. I first of all want to just say immense gratitude for all the wisdom that you have really laid out in that beautiful book that I highly recommend to our listeners to explore. And what I want to do is begin talking about you and the book in more detail. Let's talk about your day of awakening. Please share with our listeners what that day meant to you and what actually happened and how it transformed you and how you began this quest of research and to really seek different types of wisdom to understand why you actually survived such an incredible experience.
Well, thank you for going through the book. I mean, it's not the easiest book to read, from what I hear. Or was it?
I loved it. I loved every page.
I think if you take it like one chunk at a time, one like small piece at a time, it's possible, just to go through it and take your time and just read through that. And I'm really honored that you actually read the whole thing and it helped you in somehow. The awakening, I think, awakening, every one of us has a day of awakening. Now, you have many nudges of awakening. Now, it depends if you actually capture that and understand it, or sometimes you just let it pass and you never think about it. So existence has like this magical thing of always throwing things at you to wake you up from the misdirection that you are going, and trying to nudge you into the right direction where life wants you to be, or where you actually fit the most. But you have to be ready for it. And most of the time, like I say that there's no answer to a question that you never asked. So you have to ask that question for you to see the answers. Otherwise, the answer will pass you and you'll never see it if you didn't ask the question. For me, I didn't ask the question for many times, because I was actually, before that, I was like so much into business. I had multiple businesses. There's stress, taxes, this, that. Employees issues, financial struggle in some doing well, some has struggles, and plus personal stress in different ways. And I was fainting, at different time, but I think existence was already saying, wake up, but I didn't get it, until I actually went to do this test and this tilt table test, and there again, I had this fainting, but the awakening actually happened when I saw the cardiogram. And it was not just a fainting, it was a flat line. And then you see one page after one page after one page of a flat line, and then you say, wow, literally you exited this world, and now that you're back, what is it all about? And I think that's when I asked the right question. I asked the right question. Well, if I had gone, and what did life mean? What did I do in this life? What was the meaning of my life? And now that I have another chance at it, what should be the purpose of my life? I think when you ask the right question, then it becomes a day of awakening. So that's how it happened.
Take us to the moment when you woke up after your heart flatlined for 35 seconds. Did you actually realize, was there something that you recall from that experience?
To be honest, I don't I like to put things into as much logical and science as possible. So I don't know how the brain functions, how these moments of experiences function. Yeah, there was a feeling, or you think that you're looking at your body laying down. You see something like that. I didn't see these, what some other people talk about, the bright light and all their light flashing in front of them. But I had something of a feeling that I was noticing myself from outside myself. But I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just some brain chemicals playing with your head in that sense. But what I did feel a sense of peace, which I have not felt in a long, long time. So before, faint, you wake up and you're kind of still struggling with what it is. This time it was like so peaceful. The doctor talked to me while I was laying down. It's like, oh, I got to take you to the hospital. We need to. And I'm like, no. I'm going home. Because I really felt it's almost like, what should I say? It's like when you reboot a computer, it's like you have a virus or something and it's messing up and you say, okay, let me reformat even, not just reboot, reformat the whole computer. That's how it felt. It felt like really a sense of peace and ease that I haven't felt in a long, long time. And and with that came these big questions and big exploration, and it was a good nudge, for existence to say, okay, wake up. It's time to start thinking about life as it truly is, not as the society or the traditions or the surrounding, your environment is dictating for you to be.
How did your loved ones react to this experience that you had? Because now I imagine wondering, is this going to happen again, right? And maybe this is also a question that you were asking yourself. Is, life or existence going to nudge me again with now maybe a 50-second flat line?
Well, I mean, of course they were concerned and they just wanted to make sure that I stay alive. But I think the main reaction came later on as I got deep into my exploration of life and examining my life and examining my beliefs, examining the environment, like everything that I learned since I was growing up, and I've been into I've read philosophy, I've read religions, I've practiced lots of stuff, and to rethink everything, that was, I think, the biggest shock for them. I remember with my son, who was like at that time 20 years old, in there, and I was 50 maybe, and I was already like changing so many things, and we were having a conversation, and I, about one point, and I gave him like the opposite of what I've been saying for so long. He's like, what do you mean? Even this you change your mind about? I'm like, yes. He said, well, what should I then believe from everything that you taught us all these years when we were kids? I'm like, nothing. You shouldn't believe you shouldn't believe any of it. You should re-examine all this for yourself. He said, well, how do you expect me to be if I have now to rethink everything that I was taught since I was a kid? I said, well, the good news is that you're only 20 years old now. It took me till I was 50 to start questioning all that and trying to find my own path and my own answer. So I said it's a blessing, and I think that was probably the strangest thing that they felt. It's like wow. It's like is it possible that everything that we learn and taught, that they could be wrong? But yeah, I mean, they could be. I believed them at that time when I was teaching them these things, but I questioned all of them in there and found out that lots of these things that you believe 100% in, you shouldn't.
So let's actually talk about that, beliefs, and how our families, our culture, or religion can influence the beliefs that we have, and help us understand the difference between empowering beliefs and those that disempower us and actually do not necessarily serve us in terms of living our purpose and living with joy.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, like I say, we're born free, but only for a few seconds. And then you're immediately assigned a name, a nationality, an ethnicity, a religion, a religious sect, even in there. And then you spend the rest of your life, you're chained by things that you never chose. And with these chains on you, you start adding also limiting belief to yourself as you grow. And you start saying, I cannot do this. It's impossible. I would not, and every time you say that, you're just adding another virus to your operating system, if we can say that. So that's another thing. And then you have teachers, you have clergy, you have the society, you have the fake news, you have the politicians. Everybody is trying to insert in you their own beliefs. And with this chains that you already have on yourself, you become a slave of the society and become easy for you to follow that and accept it. So we end up like stuck in what I call the jungle of life. This jungle, and the life in the jungle is driven by two things. Either a desire, I want something so I run after it, or a fear. So you're always running after a desire or running away from fears. And when you're doing that, you're just going in circles, misdirected. You have no direction in your life. And that causes most of the ailment that we feel in our minds, in our emotions, in our bodies, in our spirituality. So many paths are available in there, so many treatments, so many coaches, so many therapists. People are still the same. It's not becoming less, actually. If you look at all the statistics, all kind of ailments just becoming more and more and more, from stress to depression to anxiety and stuff like that. So where all these methods that available, or the help that is available, it helps for a little bit like a painkiller, but it does not help in addressing the roots of the issues. So the idea that we have to actually go deeper, go into our existential purpose, our why. I mean, that's what I call purposehood. Purposehood is an existential purpose or your life purpose. So until you have that clarity of what my purpose, why am I here in life? What do I want from this life? And what does this life want from me? Once I have that clarity, everything changes. So you are in this jungle, but all of a sudden you see a North Star. And that changes everything, because now every time you're lost, you just look up. And you see that and you say, I'm going, the wrong way. That's not this. Oh, I don't see it. Maybe I should turn. So that changes everything in your life. And that allows you to have the basis to have a true mental, emotional, physical health, spiritual health with your relationships and so on. So that's kind of the core that we need to focus on, is to find that clarity, find that purposehood guiding star that we can have in our life.
One concept that I absolutely loved in Purposehood was the fact that once you articulate your purposehood or your existential purpose, it does not stop at simply being altruistic. Because often when you do ask people, what is your purpose? They want to save the planet, they want to save the dying children, or whatever altruistic scope they may have or aspiration. And what I absolutely loved about what you brought forward was the idea that purpose, or our existential purpose, should have both an altruistic and also a selfish component. Can you take us through that and explain why it is so essential that we actually have those two dimensions to truly live with joy?
Interesting. So, yesterday we both attended the wedding of our dear friend Christoph. And the lady who was sitting next to me, we just started a conversation. I always say, it leads somehow about the purpose and so on. And she's talking about all these amazing things that she wants to do for the world and how it is. So I said, well, what is it that you want for yourself? Oh, I want to make the world a better place. I said, no, that's for the world. What do you want for yourself? But that's what makes me happy. I said, I understand it makes you happy, but what is it that you want for yourself? Well, now it's like my time is with my children, and then, I guess once they leave, I'll start thinking about, no, now, what is it? And she's like, I don't have an answer. I don't know what I want for myself and what's my desire. I really need to think about it. And by herself, I didn't have to explain to her the logic and the science and that's why we really need to be selfish, because our genes are both selfish and altruistic. And if you deny your building blocks, I mean, your genetic building blocks, they're both, scientifically, they're selfish and they're altruistic. If you deny any of those, then you are in imbalance and you are not in sync with life. And that causes also all these challenges that we have. By herself, she figured out that, you're right, I never thought about what it is that I want for myself. And I need to think about it. I'm like, take your time. I said, take your time, think about it. She's like, oh, I'm going to go read the book. I said, well, go first to that section where you actually write your purposehood statement and reflect on that core question. What is it that I want for myself? It's very interesting because I've done this for over one-on-one, just beside the people who did it on the app or did it from the book. But I actually did this with over 1,200 CEOs and their spouses, employees, and you see people who tend to be selfish. It's very easy for them to answer this questions like, what is it that you want for yourself? It's like, I want $10 million, in there. But what is it that you want to do for the world? They struggle with that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, and sometimes it's the opposite. It's the opposite in there, especially I would say in women, and because maybe this motherly thing that you have. You want to help your children, you want to take care of them, so you have this altruistic pull to it. Very hard for them to find what they want for themselves. What is a selfish thing that they want? Even I remember I was doing one time this workshop, and they were psychologists. They were all psychologists and psychiatrists, and one of them said, this word selfish, could you change it to something else? Even that we feel that it's negative. We were taught that it's negative. It's not negative. It's our genetic being. We are part of that. You need to be proud of what you have, what nature gave you, what the creator, if you believe in a creator, gave you. You have that. You have these. Your genes are selfish and altruistic. At the same time, you need to embrace both of them. So once we are comfortable with that, our selfish side, then we can free ourselves to also think about what we can do for the world. And then when you combine these two together, that becomes a very forceful power to move us forward and help us to move everybody around us too.
And talking about the power and the influence, the positive influence we can actually have in this world, you talk in your book about the fact that we cannot exist without our 5 extensions of being.
Yes.
Help us understand that.
Like what I say, we're not sea turtles. It's like, sea turtles, they hatch, right away they turn, they go into the sea, they don't need somebody to care for them. A child cannot survive without their parents, the community around them that provide food, all these kind of things that they do. So we have this illusion that we are the self, or I am, and I hear lots of time this false thing. I used to use it at sometimes, like, self-made or something like that. There's nothing called self anything. You don't make anything by yourself, in here. You always have all these extensions that make you exactly who you are. You cannot be without that. And these 5 extensions who make us who we are, their self, their family, their work, the function that we do. It doesn't mean just a job, but a function that you do in life, the community that is around you, and nature. So we cannot be who we are without these 5 extensions. And all of them, they are part of who we are. So when you neglect any of those in here, you're not complete. And when you're not complete, what happens? You're not in sync with existence. And when you're not in sync with existence, depression, regret, stress, anxiety, all these illnesses that we feel in our mental, our emotional, reflects on our physical and our bodies. in our relationships that we have and so on. So when we understand that we are made from these 5 extensions of being, and then I break each one of those extensions into 5 components. So we have like 25 components. So, and I say sometimes like, which I've seen and I'm sure you experienced, like if you have somebody who is great in all 24 of them, but they have a child who is suicidal, how well can they be? If you have an employee who's having problem with their spouse, so that's like consuming their life and how motivated do you think they will be? You can go and say, wow, I'll give them more money, I'll send them to yoga, I'll bring a psychotherapist to dig into their past, whatever. That's not going to help them. What's going to help them is that particular issue. They're struggling in their relationship with their spouse. And until you address that in this, you cannot help a person to be a whole. So that's what it is. It's about looking at us as at a human being, as a whole being, instead of a self or a physical self or an emotional self and so on. Maybe if I comment on this, it's kind of a little sensitive because some people, they have beliefs in certain things. So I remember like one guru teaching like something that people were repeating in front of me, like I'm not the self, I'm not the mind, I'm not the emotion, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, something like that, like as if, well, you're not the body. What are you? And if you're not the mind, what are you? Like as if like, you're just some type of a being from space that is, no, we are all of this. We need to embrace that. But imagine that belief, if that you actually truly believe that you are not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the emotion and stuff like that. How much would you care about those? You're not going to care about something that it's not you, You're going to start thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm a spiritual being and just I need to focus only on my spiritual. No. You need to understand that you are all of that. You need to pay attention to your body. You need to pay attention to your mind. You need to pay attention to your emotions, your spirituality, your existence. Why am I on this earth? That's the cornerstone of well-being. And then all your relationships and your relationship with nature. I mean, funny, sometimes I have people like in the training and the workshop, like I have them rank, when I say these 5 extensions, I say at this moment, rank them from 1 to 5, one that is the most important for you at this moment. From these, is it the self, the family? And it's interesting, you see people, they have different ones, like at this moment, family is, or work is, like mainly people in their beginning of their career, work is the top, and so on. Rarely I find somebody who's like nature is the thing. So it's nature as if it's like something foreign to us. And I say, but wait a second. I mean, if we, 3 weeks without food, you die. 3 days without water, you die. 3 minutes without air, you die. I mean, this is how crucial it is for us and how it is us, because that breath, it's part of all our physiology and our life and the life force that comes into us. The same with water, the same with this. It is us. It becomes us. The actual fruit that you eat, it becomes after a couple of hours cells. It becomes you. So sometimes we even forget this connection that this is actually us, and I need to be as concerned about everything that is surrounding me. If I'm eating poisonous food, how well can you be? If I'm breathing bad air, how well can I be? Regardless of everything is this. So that's what it is. It's about looking at us and ourselves as a human being and looking at other people, like when you're dealing with your children, when you're dealing with your employees, when you're dealing with your friends, their whole being. They might look great, they might be thinking, clearly, they might emotionally, but they might have a different challenge that is not very obvious to you, that's actually affecting their whole being.
Fully agree.
It's a long explanation for a short question.
I love everything you have shared. And I know there's a practice, a bubble exercise that allows us actually to embrace more fully the 5 dimensions of being. Would you be open to doing that and sharing it with our
How about
listeners?
we do a shorter one?
A shorter one, yes.
A shorter one. Actually, I do that always. I try to do this in every meeting that I do, especially with many people or even like one-on-one. You know, I try to do this one-on-one, like we can do it together. It takes 2 minutes. And the idea is that just take a few seconds and think about what is it that you want for yourself, a selfish thing.
Today.
Now.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it that you feel that you want for yourself? So I mean, if I, this morning, like my voice was a little, after yesterday, I guess, and I feel like I need some healing. So that's what I feel. I don't know what it is that you feel.
In a similar way, yes, it's more about having the mental clarity to.
You would love to have a clarity.
And yes, mental clarity and energy to be able to really have inspiring questions that hopefully will inspire our listeners.
So we'll close our eyes. We sit. Usually, I like to sit straight, silent, and then imagine that there's a bubble of light. In my case, filled of healing. In your case, maybe filled of energy and clarity. Mm-hmm. And say, may I. In my case, I will say, may I be healthy. May I feel well. May I feel well. And then you would say, may I be clearer, or may I be full of energy. And you do this, let's do this for like 30 seconds or 35 seconds, closing and imagining that you are inside this bubble of energy, of light in there. And then when I prompt you, we say, may we, and you imagine the other person with you in there. So I imagine you in my healing, and you can imagine me with the energy in there. So we can share that, and we do that and say, may we, and imagine the bubble a little bit bigger with that other person. In the bigger practice, then we add our cameraman, and here, let's actually add him in there. And then you can also add, your family, the people around us, then the plants, these plants that we have here, and so on. So you can expand it and say, may we, you wish for them the same thing that you wish for yourself. And when we finish, we just finish with a 5 seconds of big smile. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I know what I want. I want healing. You want clarity. So we can start.
Okay.
Expand the bubble and say, may we. Slowly open your eyes. Big, 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 big smile. Big smile. Yes, and squinting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's like it's a beautiful practice to start in meeting. You could do it by yourself. And there are 5 daily practices that take 20 minutes. We talk about in Purposehood. That truly could change your life in so many ways, and this is one of them. It's you do like 1 minute about yourself, then you include your family, then you include the people you work with, then you include your friends and community around you, then you include nature, your pet, your plants. You could have the whole earth in there, and it's a beautiful practice of feeling expanded, that you are not alone. In this world, you're connected with everybody else.
Yes, and it elevates your self-awareness, that it's not just about you. There's a broader world out there that is contributing to our life, and that you're also, it's
And
everything is intermingled, if you wish, and that allows us, I would say, to be more kind to ourselves, to those around us, to nature. That, as you said, that is keeping us alive. So
True.
it's so beautiful.
True, true.
Talking about practices, you also have a practice that relates to the purpose that we spoke about earlier. Can you help us guide some of the listeners on, once they've established their selfish, altruistic, existential purpose, how can they put that into practice? Because it's not just about articulating it, it's about living it every single day and using it as a compass for key decisions and key actions that we may choose to pursue. Can you share some practices that would be beneficial?
The easiest way to think about it is like your GPS in your car. I mean, for me, I cannot drive without putting a GPS in there. It just gives you that sense of, even if I know where I'm heading, I just put the GPS. So it gives you this sense of relaxation and ease, as you go through struggles. If you get lost, you come back to it and so on. I think one of the most effective and the easiest way to use your Purposehood guiding star is in decision making. We are challenged every day with so many decisions. These decisions, they consume the most important thing, usually that we have, which is our lifetime.
Yes.
That's the most important thing that we have. We have such a limited quantity of this that is decreasing all the time in there, so which makes it even more precious. Every day we live longer makes whatever is left even more precious. So you need to use it for the best possible way. You need to have what I call the maximum return on a lifetime, ROLT, instead of just thinking return on investment, ROI. But that's the biggest investment that we do. Money you spend, you get it back. You lose it sometimes, you make it sometimes. You cannot make up time. Here, once it's gone, it's gone. So that's the most precious asset that we have, currency that we have. So you want to use it in the most efficient way. And what helps you to do that is having that Purposehood guiding star. So the easiest way to make a decision, there's a little bit more involved way that you can also look it up in the book. But the easiest way is to ask yourself, whatever it is that you have to make your mind on. If you're invited to some place, or to go to do something, or a task that you're about to do, or an investment that you want to do in a company, or work that is presented to you, you say to yourself, would that take me toward my Purposehood guiding star or away from it? That easy. If it takes you toward it, then it's much easier to say yes. And if it takes you away from it, you just say no. And it changes your life. I mean, for me, when you have so many companies and you're working, you always have challenges with time. Like I always felt like I have no time, for things. I wish that they had 48 hours instead of 24 hours. But that's because we are so distracted with so many things that do not add a true value to our life. And the moment that I started doing that, it became so easy for me to say no to things. Because I'm like, okay, they want me, they invite me to this thing. And I said, would that take me toward my Purposehood or not? No, it's easy to say no in there. So when you start saying no to all these distractions, all of a sudden you say, wow, I do have plenty of time to do amazing things that I want to do. And once you do those, guess what you get? Joy.
Yes.
That's what you were telling me yesterday about this research that you did with the study that you are doing. Can you maybe share that?
Yes.
The relationship between purpose and joy. It was very interesting.
Yes. And thank you for bringing that up. We've been doing research on joy for over a year now. We have data on over 38 countries to date, and we're continuing to expand the data set. And of course, there's different ways to filter the data and analyze it and so on. So one consistent thread that we have seen across generations, across cultures, is that individuals that have found their existential purpose actually have a higher level of life satisfaction and joy. I find that absolutely fascinating because it's really how I've been living life, especially since the operation, and using it exactly through the practices that you have shared, which I just find so powerful. And yes, as I said, we're continuing the research on joy, and we'll see where this leads us. But today, there's a very, very strong correlation that we're seeing behind individuals that have found their life purpose and their capacity to experience more joy, whether it's in their personal lives, whether it's at work, and so on. And this brings me to a question for you on joy. And if there would be a recipe for joy, what would be 3 key ingredients that it would contain?
So is that like an omelet or oh, 3 ingredients? Okay. Look, I believe that joy is a byproduct of living your purpose. So for that, to live your purpose, 3 things I would say. One is to have a clarity of your own purpose. So you cannot live it if you don't have a clarity of what it is. So the first step is to be clear about why you are on this earth, why you exist, what life wants from you, and what you want from life, in there. So having that clarity, it's a key one. So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient, I would say, is to live it. Like you said, you could know it and you don't live it. We did a survey on the Purposehood group on WhatsApp, and I was amazed that there are many people who actually went through the practice to figure out that clarity, but they say that, but we don't live it. So it's important that you actually practice it, like what we spoke before. Use it in your decision making. Feel that every day you're moving one step closer. It doesn't have to be a major step. It could be something a word that you say to somebody, smiling at somebody's face, encouraging somebody that you deal with, something that you do for yourself. Like I say, for example, you could take the dog for a walk, and you take the dog for a walk because you enjoy doing that, but you can add an extension and do it because also the dog enjoys that. And then you're going to get both the benefit, the selfish and altruistic way. So there are so many ways that you can live your purpose. So that's the second one. And I think the third one is to help others find and live their purposehood. If you are living your purpose by yourself, but your kids are not, your spouse are not, the people you work with are not, your friend are not, you're going to be like an island in a rough sea, in there. You don't have peace and ease with life. So having those 3 together, automatically you're going to find joy in everything that you do.
I love that. Thank you. Ammar, in your book, you also speak extensively about AI, and I know we've had many conversations around AI. Tell us what you believe the future looks like, given the exponential progress that we have seen with the usage of AI. How will it actually shape our lives, and will it in any way, shape, or form, do you believe, potentially help elevate the joy and the harmony that we're able to experience in this world?
Well, you think when we talk about it now, we talk about it as a tool. Actually, in my coming book, I will be, mentioning that today I say we have 5 extensions of being, but I believe that there's a 6th extension that is coming, which is technology. It's becoming like really, truly part of who we are, and it's going to be soon infused in us, from the time that the child is born. So it will not be just a tool, it will be part of us, just like air, like, we have physician here who understands that sometimes technology that you add to yourself, if it's, you add a pacemaker, that becomes part of you. You cannot separate it from who you are. Or, I have people like who change their knee or their hip. That part now is you. In there. It's not outside of you. So, and AI is going to be that. So I think in the book, I don't address extensively AI, but I talk about the future of a humanity. And I see that the future of humanity is going to be infused with the 3 things, in there. You're going to have genetically engineering, That's going to be part of what it is to be a human. You're going to have robotics, just like that knee or that hip, that is going to be part of us. And AI. AI is going to be part of who we are. So until then, are we building a monster, or are we building, something that is going to be a great part of us? So I think as we develop in AI, if we stop thinking about it as something outside of us, and it's something that is going to be part of us, hopefully that will impact the way that we develop AI to become truly part of our aspiration, what we want to be as a humanity and as a human, and the mission that we are on in this life, which I believe is to take life to the barren galactic landscape. And that hopefully we can, AI as part of us will play a key role in doing so. Until then, you can learn from it and use it as a tool.
I love it. And if you were to write a message that would be put in a time capsule to be opened, let's say 25 years from now, what would that message be coming from Ammar?
I would say it even 1,000 years from now. Live your purposehood. Live your purposehood with ease. Live your purposehood with ease. Because that's ultimately where all the joy, the success, the fulfillment that come when you live your purposehood. And when you do that, then you have a life of ease. And that's, I think, what we all wish for, ultimately.
Yes, truly believe that. How can individuals discover your work? Can you share the best way to get in contact with you, to basically explore all the courses and the workshops?
Well, there's the book. If they read the book, they get lots of ideas. There's a new book that is going to be much more practical about how to heal and grow. So taking lots of these concepts and steps and making them into a process and a format that you can use. The website, finally, we will update it. So you'll have some purposehood.org. And now we are going to be on a mission. The mission that I have for myself now is to say that to train 20 million Purposehood life engineers in the next 20 years, which means like by then I will be 82 and it will be time to retire. A good time to retire.
Do you truly believe that you will retire?
I don't think so. One of the things I say, as a test, they say, oh, is this my purposehood, what I wrote, or it's not? I say the test to it is to ask yourself, if you have 1 month to live, would this still be true? If it's not true, then it's not exactly your purposehood. But if you actually say, yes, this will be true, even if I have 1 month to live, then you found the right one. So I don't think I will retire. But maybe I'll do something else.
And on this topic of age and particularly longevity, that I know is a hot topic right now,
yes.
Where do you believe we will be in the coming years? Some futurists even predict that our life could be expanded indefinitely. I know we had a conversation that originally we would think, oh well, I'm going to retire, when I'm in my 80s and so on. But what if you end up living to, past 150 and so on? How do you shape and mold your existence, and how does purpose basically evolve with technology and with experience and so on? How do you see the future, and is it about life extension, or is it about truly embracing the journey with joy? Because if you have a miserable and long extension, that doesn't make sense.
Just that means more
more torture.
Misery.
Exactly. So how do you see that? What is really important? What matters? Is it how long we live, or rather how joyfully we're able to live in this present moment and whatever days, weeks, years we may have in front of us?
I talk about the concept of a lifetime, so we all have, every creature has the same unit. It's called lifetime. So some of it for a fruit fly, maybe 3 days or something like that. For a human being, it could be more or less now in the hundreds. It's going to get to 150 or maybe longer. For trees, it might be, but it's all at the end of lifetime. What do you do with that lifetime is the important thing that you do. If it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, did it serve a purpose? Did it do something, what you're meant to do in this life? Lots of people, when they talk about longevity, I like that topic. I mean, you know, you want to live longer if you're enjoying life. You want to live longer if you have a purpose. So lots of the people, when they talk about longevity, I say, well, the first step is to figure out, why do you want to live longer? You know, I want to live longer, but why do you want to live longer? Because, I mean, people, even with the current amount of life, loneliness is a major problem. Depression is a major problem. People feeling, lots of the people who are in their 70s and 80s, they're losing the will to live. So adding more years to our lives does not mean that we have a better life, more productive life. You know, lots of the time you become just purely consumer, you know, in this life. So what is it that you want to contribute to life if you live longer? Having that understanding, and that will help you live longer, because you have life needs you to live longer in a sense, because you're contributing to life. You're doing something to the system that you are part of in there. So that's, I think, the first step, is to figure out your purpose, and if your purpose extends or needs you to stay for that longer life, then do it. But like you said, you know, regardless of what your lifetime length is, just make sure that it's selfish and it's altruistic at the same time. You're doing something that you're taking for yourself from life, and that you're giving back to life. Just like we're born and we borrow the first breath, and when we die, we give it back. So that's how it works, you know, always give and take. So what you're taking from life and what you're giving back. If you can balance that, then great, live for 1,000 years if you can.
Ammar, any final words of wisdom as it relates to finding more joy in our lives for our listeners?
Live your purpose with ease. The same message that I'm going to send for the next 1,000 years.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Ammar, it
Always
has been a
pleasure.
joy.
Same here, same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ammar, since your book was such an inspiration for me in my life, I'm happy to share with you the Human Growth Code.
Beautiful.
That you kindly wrote a phenomenal testimonial on. So thank you for that. And as I said, there's a lot of you in this book that inspired both Christophe and I. So once again, everything that you do is a gift. Thank you for the gift of our friendships. Thank you for the gift of your wisdom. And so this is my gift for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. And my God, the design, such a beautiful, I'm sure, you know, the knowledge inside is amazing. Why all the colors?
Well, actually, because we have the 4R framework that we talk about, and each color we chose, each one of the 4 R's has a different color to actually facilitate the readers moving from one section to the other. And the 4 R's, as you know, it's about resilience, it's about resourcefulness, relationships, and relevance, which actually has all the dimensions of purpose that we spoke about.
Beautiful. I can see the combination of the analytical mind and the creativity all together in here. I look forward to reading it. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.